Hello and welcome to another YouTube video. I'm going to be talking about my recent vacation my boyfriend and I took to New York City. It was one of the best vacations I've ever been on, and yes, now I am extremely obsessed with New York City. We were only there for a week and I feel like we got to do so many amazing things, but we didn't get to do everything. We could have stayed for a full month and we still wouldn't have gotten to do everything. So I'm really excited to share with you what we did each day. For our first day in New York, we left San Francisco and flew on a direct flight all the way to New York City. It was like 5.5 hours, but totally worth it to have a direct flight. We had this amazing sandwich in the airport. It was a chicken pesto with cheese and red pepper kind of sandwich, and it was so freaking good. So we thought a lot about that sandwich while we were on this trip, and to be honest, I'll be thinking about that sandwich probably for the rest of my life. Anywho, enough about the sandwich, more about New York City. So we got there, and first thing we did is we checked into our hotel. We ended up staying in Midtown in a hotel called the Iroquois. It was very beautiful, very small, but I think that's pretty typical when you go to New York City. We got some insane views while we were driving in from the Newark airport. It was just incredible to see the skyline from afar. After we settled into our hotel, dropped off our luggage, we decided to go ahead and walk down to Times Square since it was only a couple of streets over. That was kind of the only experience that I didn't totally love. It was so crowded and there's so many people there. We didn't spend too much time down there. We just walked around and I saw an amazing Krispy Kreme and I really wanted to go there, but I did not want to wait in the line, so we passed on that. For our second day in New York City, we decided to do something that you could probably only do when you're in a really big city. So we went to this thing called the Summer Club, which was in Queens, and it was so fun. We met up with like a work friend there, and we just got to stay in like a rooftop pool, and it had like a DJ and clubs and all these really delicious frozen drinks. While I was there, I did acquire this amazing flamingo. After we left the Summer Club, we went up and met with a friend of a friend at this place called Toto Ramen. And I had the spicy miso ramen bowl, and it was insane, guys. I can't recommend going there enough, especially if you really like Asian food. I thought it was absolutely delicious. I have never had ramen that good. So another meal that I will be thinking about for the rest of my life. So for day 3, we got up around 11, something like that. So we left our hotel and we went immediately to Fifth Avenue to do some shopping and also walk all the way down to Central Park. We spent so much time in Central Park. We must have been in there for 3 or 4 hours because it's huge. We didn't make it all the way to the most northern part of Central Park, but we did like walk probably 3/4 of it. Saw lots of beautiful lakes, stopped at a coffee shop that was in the park. It was quite lovely. Saw some statues, and then got lost trying to find the bathrooms. We definitely got lost many times in Central Park. And then in Central Park, off to like the right side is the Met. We ended up going all over the Met. We actually didn't even see probably like 1/4 of the Met because it was just so big. So we did take a lot of photos and videos and saw some interesting things. My favorite was probably this fashion exhibit that we saw. It was so cool. It had like these really cool music and it showed like fashion over the ages. And then there was this one really cool room where they had these fashionistas or whatever, statues. They were karate chopping, kicking. They were fighting, I guess. But I really thought it was a cool little display of fashion throughout the different time periods. And I did like the Met. It was gorgeous. Even the building itself is gorgeous, and it has the steps that you can sit on, and I had very much a Gossip Girl moment. After that, our feet were very tired of walking. I think we had walked over 8 miles at that point in the day, so we were like, let's just go to the movies and see Top Gun. We took an Uber and went down to AMC Times Square, and we were on the very top floor of it. We had to take 6 escalators up there, and each escalator was 2 floors. But I really liked Top Gun. I thought it was a fun little break, and it felt so nice to rest my feet. The 4th day in New York City, this is where things started to get very, very fun. I was already having a great time. Summer Club, awesome. Central Park, loved it. But the 4th day was great. We ended up going to Chelsea Market, and we spent a lot of time over in the Chelsea area. Colton ate this ginormous fish thing at this Thai restaurant, and it was absolutely amazing. Then we went and got some coffee after exploring a little bit more in Chelsea Market, and the coffee was fantastic. It was so smooth and I just loved it. After Chelsea Market, we went to the Starbucks Reserve, and the Starbucks Reserve, that is the place to be. I know that's not unique to New York City. There's many Starbucks Reserve, but this one was so cool. It had first just the regular cafe, Starbucks, and then they had a little cafe area where they actually served more food, and then upstairs was this ginormous bar where they served Starbucks coffee cocktails, and I love an espresso martini, so we had to stop there, of course. And Colton got this delicious kind of whiskey coffee drink. I don't really remember what it was called, but it was fantastic. I really enjoyed watching the beans and all of the processing, because you got to see that too, of how they roast beans, and I thought that was pretty fantastic as well. So I would definitely make a stop there. I love the Starbucks Reserve. I am not going to shut up about it anytime soon. It's almost, to me, better than the Chelsea Market. I love the Chelsea Market because it has food options, but I love coffee. And the Starbucks Coffee Reserve is a very cool place to go if you love coffee. We went to walk around a little bit in the Chelsea area, so we went to the High Line, which is this beautiful walkway that allows you to kind of look over the city, and just a nice little walkway on the edge of town. After making it down the beautiful High Line, we went over to the little island, and the little island is so beautiful. You have to go there if you make a trip out to New York City. It's almost an art structure to me, but it's a park that's like over the water. It's just like it's a little island, and it's very beautiful. It's landscaped gorgeously, and it was so nice and breezy over the water, so it was a great spot to just chill and cool down. We had a good time walking there. So after we went to the little island, that's where things started to get very exciting for me. This was the thing that I looked forward most to when I visited New York City, and that is the Strand bookstore. I did acquire some gifts and goodies there, and I knew that was going to happen because I was so excited to go there. I knew I was going to come home with a backpack full of books and probably a new book bag, and that's exactly what happened. This is a book lover's paradise. You could spend hours there. The books go all the way to the ceiling. We kind of made it a little bit quicker because we were getting very hungry, and also we were starting to smell very bad from all of our walking. I was so sweaty throughout this trip. We were walking so much that I'm pretty sure anytime I went into an indoor place, it just smelled bad. So my preference was to eat and do anything outside. So Strand bookstore though, we had to make an exception. We had to go in. And I got this gorgeous little book bag. I know that I'm just gonna carry this everywhere all around town because it's so cute. And I wanted to show you what I picked up there, of course. So I got Normal People. I just really wanted to read this book for like ever and see what's up with Sally Rooney, and I am a Sally Rooney fangirl. I'll talk about it in my July reading wrap up, but I got this book and it was good. And then I got another book, Sea of Tranquility, and it is just the most shimmery, gorgeous cover you could ever envision. After we left the Strand bookstore, then we discovered the 99-cent pizza. After that, my life was changed. We ate a meal for like $5 for 2 people, and it was delicious. After that, we walked over to Washington Square Park, and it was just so cute. It was honestly a little bit dirty, so it wasn't my favorite park we went to, but when we got there, there was some sort of like dance class going on, and so there was just hundreds of people just Latin dancing in the middle of the street, and I love that. That was so fun to watch, and it was a great place to read. After that, we made our way back home, and we used the subway throughout all of New York City, and it was amazing. I would definitely recommend using the subway. It's so cheap, and it's not that hard to navigate if you use Google Maps. So we made it back to Midtown, and at that point, we just went back to the hotel. 4th day, or I guess 5th day, Wednesday, we slept in quite a bit, and then we made our way over to the theaters because we were gonna see a couple of Broadway plays while we were there. The first one that we saw was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Special effects they had throughout that play were incredible. It was like watching a movie, and I don't know how they did all those effects on stage, but I thought it was awesome, and I would really recommend it. And after that, we went to yet again another play. This is one thing I don't think we did necessarily right about New York City. We saw 2 plays in one day, and I really think that was hard on me because I had to focus for like 6 hours. And this next play is one that you really do have to focus because they're rapping throughout it, and that's a lot harder to follow, and that was Hamilton. We actually didn't like Hamilton as much as we liked Harry Potter. I just thought it was hard to follow. I hadn't seen it before. I wish I would have watched it maybe on Disney Plus before actually going and seeing the show. I just like missed some of the lyrics and wasn't following it 100%. I did like both, but I was done seeing plays by the end of that night. After that, we actually went back to Times Square to try and find some food. It was pretty late to try and find food. We once again passed Krispy Kreme, and I once again did not go in, but let me tell you, Krispy Kreme on 48th Street, you are calling out to me. So this brings us to Thursday. Thursday was the best day of the trip, in my personal opinion. I freaking loved Thursday. So the first thing we did is we slept in very late. And then of course we went to Starbucks. You gotta have Starbucks. And after that, we walked over to Bryant Park, which is very close to our hotel. It's in the middle of Midtown, and it's just this cute little park out by the New York Public Library. And it has a giant lawn, and it has these very cute little cafes surrounding the park. So we decided to grab lunch at the Bryant Park Grill. That was a restaurant we really wanted to try because of how beautifully decorated it was. Our plan was just to read the whole day. Have a nice relaxing day of drinking coffee, reading, discussing our books with each other. And so that's what we did. We went to the New York Public Library. First off, it is so gorgeous in the New York Public Library. We were not allowed to take any pictures in this really pretty reading room, which was very unfortunate. We sat there for probably 2 hours reading, and it was great. The only hard part is you had to be perfectly quiet, which I understand. It is a library, but the whole time I would just like look up, and I can't take a photo, so I'm just like looking up, I'm in awe, and then I'm like, I need to tell my boyfriend how cool what I just saw was, but I couldn't say anything to him because we had to be quiet. So yeah, that was the hardest part. After we left the room, we were like, oh my gosh, it was so awesome. Did you see this, this, and this? And then we left the New York Public Library and we walked over to Grand Central Terminal, which is also very close by. There's not much to see there, but it was like very pretty architecture. Once again, made me think of Gossip Girl, so I was excited about it. And then we decided to go to Top of the Rock. Top of the Rock was so beautiful. Got some of the best photos. The only thing I would say is like maybe we should have gone earlier in the day, probably around sunset. We would have gotten a little bit better photos of Central Park. But I think the skyline at nighttime was so beautiful, and it was great because we went at 10:30, so we didn't have to wait in any sort of line to get up. I had an amazing time in it. I just think these skyline views are absolutely incredible. Plus we got to read out by the Rockefeller Plaza, and that was just also very gorgeous. After all of that walking around, going to the top of the rock, we did find ourselves going back to this rooftop bar place that we ate the first night, and it was called Connolly's. It was okay food, but pretty cheap drinks, so we had a lot of fun just drinking beer and kind of reading our books. I don't know if that's a lame thing to do at a bar, but you gotta have a book. And for our last day, Friday, it was so sad that it was our last day. I feel like we were just trying to cram everything in that we didn't get to do. So we did start out the day, once again, got up at like 11 or something, and decided to go to the 9/11 memorial. We went to the 9/11 memorial, and I have to say, I thought the actual memorial, like outside where the Twin Towers used to be, they've made like a beautiful water feature, and I think that is so gorgeous, and I think it's a really cool way that they did a memorial. I've never seen anything like that. The museum, I would not say is probably worth it. The museum had this really cool timeline of at each time in the day what was happening during 9/11. It was very somber going through that museum. I don't know if it's worth $30 a person though. That's my only thing. Go and see the memorial though. That was pretty cool. After we left that, we saw this giant building that looked really cool and had this big glass dome on top. So my boyfriend was like, we have to go there. What is that? And we found out it was a shopping mall. So next thing I know, we're in a shopping mall. But this is not your average shopping mall. It's all designer, all luxury. I think the cheapest thing they had was Lululemon. We walked around the shops and stuff, and they had this fantastic cafeteria. It wasn't like chain restaurants, it was local places. So we stopped and ate a bunch of sushi. And then downstairs, they had kind of a patisserie, they have a fromagerie, they had ice cream, gelato, that kind of stuff. I got 6 macarons because I'm obsessed with macarons, and I ate all of them like immediately. And we walked outside, and the outside, that is the showstopper. It's got like a walkway along the water and all these cool little seaside cafes. And it was gorgeous. The flowers, I mean, they are just so beautiful. We didn't have time to stop and get cocktails because we did have to make it back to our place and get ready for a cruise that we were going on. But it was just absolutely gorgeous. I wish we could have stayed there longer. I would recommend going down to Brookfield Place, even if you're not gonna shop. And if you keep walking down the walkway, there's a bunch of parks and stuff. It's kind of Battery Park area, I think. So I would definitely recommend that area. So we took the subway back to our hotel room and we got all changed up because we were going to go out that night, and we were also going on a harbor cruise. So we did this beautiful cruise on a sailboat. We got to see the Statue of Liberty, a little bit of the Brooklyn Bridge, not a lot, and the New York skyline. It was just absolutely gorgeous. I got some great videos there. And then after that, we walked ourselves about 10-minute walk to the meatpacking district, where we went to this rooftop bar that my boyfriend saw while we were on the cruise and was like, that looks amazing. So we figured out how to get to that building. And we went to this bar called Le Bang. What a wild night. So first off, we got there and it was like 11:30. We were starving because we didn't eat dinner before the cruise. So we went and ate some street food. We both had to use the bathroom very badly at this point. So we waited in line from 12 to 1:30 at Le Bang. Didn't get in at all. Super long line, super packed, crowded bar. So we left there, went to a different bar, I think called Common Ground, and we waited another 30 minutes, finally got in. And when we got in, it was so packed. I mean, it was awful. It was crazy how many people were in there. We made our way all the way to the bathroom, finally, at 2 a.m. And then we partied for a little bit, had a little bit of fun, and then left there and got back in line again at Le Bang, because gosh dang it, we were getting into that rooftop bar. Also, this rooftop bar had a hot tub, so any video I got up there was so bad because it was so steamy in the room. So we got to Le Bang and we finally got in like 30 minutes waiting at like 3:30 in the morning. We partied for another 45 minutes or so and then we left and finally ended our night. So that was like our wild last night going out in New York City. Very last day, Saturday, we woke up, got into our Uber, and went back to the airport. Nothing incredibly memorable except for at the airport we had this absolutely delicious milkshake, and I wish I could remember the restaurant name. I really do. But we had this delicious milkshake at this diner. It was Snickers flavored. It was absolutely incredible. Like the best milkshake we've ever had. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me today. I had such a fun time sharing with you what I did in New York City, and if there's anything that you would take from this video, too long, didn't watch, I would absolutely recommend going to the Starbucks Reserve near Chelsea Market when you're in New York City. I would also recommend going to the Strand bookstore if you're a book lover. It is totally worth it. And then the other place that really stood out to me was Brookfield Place, and specifically outside the shops along the waterway, just the beautiful views, and you can walk along the river, and also these gorgeous flower gardens and places to get cocktails. I just think that was so underrated. I didn't hear about it. So yeah, those were my biggest highlights from my New York City trip. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment below. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Bye-bye!